Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Pauline Verzosa. The Defense Department says China used illegal force to stop our resupply mission in Ayungin. According to Secretary Gibo Teodoro, it was a deliberate act to prevent us from providing our troops with supplies. Recall that the Chinese Coast Guards used machetes and hammers to damage Philippine Navy boats last June 17. Contrary to the previous statement of Malacanang, Teodoro says this was not a misunderstanding or an accident.
That was a preliminary assessment at the time, but after the trip of the President to Palawan, nag-firm up na yung conclusion na talagang deliberate incident.
The Philippine Navy insisted that it does not need to announce its plans to conduct resupply missions to BRP Sierra Madre. In an interview with 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Philippine Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore Ray Vincent Trinidad, said they do not have to seek permission before proceeding to their resupply missions. The newly established National Maritime Council earlier recommended the announcement of resupply missions to Ayungin Shoal. This is in light of China's aggressive actions against our troops in Ayungin Shoal last week.
Ito ay mandato ng ating armed forces, ng ating Philippine Navy, and we don't have to seek permission or get anybody's consent. We will continue operating wherever international and domestic law allows us to.
International studies expert Renato Decastro analyzes the latest statement of the government on the June 17 Ayungin incident. Here's an excerpt from his interview on Storycon.
A better crafted statement than the one we heard Friday, Professor?
Well, the one last Friday is really more of a recommendatory. So, of course, now we see the answer. I'm assuming that the President spoke through the Defense Secretary, the Acting Secretary of the Department of Foreign Affairs, and, of course, the National Security Advisor. So, again, we have to understand, the task of the National Maritime Council is to recommend. And, of course, the President has basically, addressed its recommendation and, of course, showing to us that the buck stops with the President. But, of course, the President did not say it. He had to articulate it through the three key members of the cabinet that, of course, have to do with defense, foreign policy, and national security. So you see the symbolism.
How do our forces defend themselves from, axe and axe-wielding? So, axe-wielding foreigners and ano pa yung dala? Bolo. How do you defend yourself from that? Hindi nga natin alam how we will defend ourselves from water cannon. Although high pressure yun, it should be considered a weapon actually.
Well, if you look at what happened last June 17, have you watched the coverage of the Indian press? They go back to what happened in 2017. I think it was in May or spring of 2017 when, of course, you have a clash between the Chinese and Indian forces at the camp, right? The Chinese were carrying gloves with iron spikes, and of course the Chinese trained in self-defense techniques. So it resulted to the death of 35 Indian troops, including the commander of that Indian forces. So again, when we see, oh gosh, this is happening to us, look what happened between the Indians and the Chinese. And I tell you, we will expect more from this.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other headlines. Former Senator Laila De Lima has now been cleared of all the drug charges filed against her during the previous administration. According to the Philippine Star, a court granted De Lima's demur to evidence on her third and last drug case. A demur to evidence is filed by the defense to argue that the prosecution lacks sufficient evidence in the case and warrants a dismissal. Meanwhile, Business World reports that S&P Global Ratings trimmed its GDP forecast for the Philippines for this year. The credit rater cut its growth forecast to 5.8% from 5.9% previously. It attributes the lower forecast to domestic demand that started out the year on a disappointing note. Gilas Filipinas defeated the Taiwan Mustangs in their send-off friendly match yesterday at the Phil Sports Arena, 74-64. Dwight Ramos and Justin Brownlee doubled their efforts in taking the third quarter against the Mustangs. Taiwan attempted to redeem themselves in the fourth quarter, but they still fell short. Gilas is set to leave for Europe today to continue preparing for the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament. Some members of Team Philippines have started their intense training in France a month before the 2024 Paris Olympics. The first batch of our delegates have officially settled in their training camp in Metz, France. They are led by Philippine Olympic Committee President Bambol Tolentino and Chef de Mission John Vic Remulla. This is the first time the POC is conducting a training camp for our Olympians. The second batch of Team Philippines, including boxer Yumir Marshall and gymnast Carlos Yulo, are expected to arrive in Metz in the next few days. The Quezon City local government installed hundreds of solar panels to help reduce electricity costs. This initiative aims to enhance the city's energy efficiency. Mobile Journal Francis Orsho has the story.
Sa simpleng pagkonsumo sa kuryente, may epekto na agad yan sa mundo dahil sa tinatawag na greenhouse gas effect. Kaya may lokal na pamahalaang gusto itong solusyonan sa pamamagitan ng renewable energy. Daan-daang solar panels ang ikinabit ng Quezon City LGU sa kanilang mga gusali. Bahagi ito ng kanilang advokasya para maging energy efficient.
We recently energized 600 solar panels that are installed in the main building of the City Hall, the Legislative Building, and the Treasury Building. These can actually produce 200 kilowatt peak of electricity based from the solar energy source.
Batay sa 2019 report ng United Nations, greenhouse gas emissions ang may pinakamalaking ambag sa lumalalang climate change. Isa sa dahilan ng pagtaas ng greenhouse gases ay ang energy production. Karaniwang nakadepende kasi sa fossil fuel ang paglikha ng kuryente na maituturing non-renewable energy. At dahil sa paglalagay ng daan-daang solar panels sa City Hall, makakabawas na ito ng 130 tons annual carbon footprint na nalilikha ng syudad. Ang good news pa rito, makakatipid lang naman ang mga gusali ng 1.5 million pesos na singil sa kuryente kada taon.
Malaking tulong yung savings dito sa renewable energy. Yung 1.5 million savings annually from that fund alone, estimated we can fix around 3 to 4 health centers and equivalent to 5 to 6 daycare centers.
3 pampublikong ospital pa sa lungsod ang nakatakdang makikinabang ngayong taon sa solar energy, kabilang ang Quezon City General Hospital, Novaliches District Hospital at Rosario Maclang Bautista General Hospital, pati na rin ang Barangay Kaunlaran Hall sa syudad. At sa mga susunod pang taon, inaasahang magiging energy efficient na rin ang mahigit 30 Quezon City-owned buildings. Kapag natapos daw ito, aabot sa 3,600 kilowatt peak ng kuryente ang malilikha at 52 million pesos ang matitipid sa kuryente kada taon. Paliwanag pa ng Quezon City LGU, meron silang tinatawag na net metering agreement sa Meralco bilang power distributor, kung saan ang sobrang kuryenteng malilikha mula sa solar panels ay ibebenta sa Meralco na makakatulong naman para madagdagan ang supply sa power grid. Mobile journalist Francis Orsho po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Pauline Verzosa. We are One News.